What's up, Taiwan? I'm Reece with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. We begin in the United States, where voting for the 2024 presidential election is already underway in some states. Earlier, Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican candidate Donald Trump spent the last hours of their campaigns trying to sway undecided voters in key battleground states. Harris made her final pitch to voters in Pennsylvania with several celebrity endorsements. The current vice president called for change while stressing the importance of voting and reproductive rights.
Our campaign has tapped into the ambitions and the aspirations and the dreams of the American people. We are optimistic and we are excited about what we can do together. And we know it is time for a new generation of leadership in America.
Trump spoke to an arena of supporters in Pittsburgh. The former president told the crowd that if elected, he would impose tariffs on China and Mexico over illegal fentanyl imports. He also continued attacks on the Democrats' handling of the economy and immigration.
Kamala Harris has delivered soaring prices and economic anguish at home, war and chaos abroad, and nation-destroying invasion on our southern border like nobody's ever seen before. She's actually a disaster. My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't. We don't. And we won't. We won't.
As millions of people turn out to vote, our reporters are keeping up with the latest on the ground. Louise Watt is following the Trump campaign in Florida. But first, we go to Washington, D.C., where Joyce Tseng is covering the Harris campaign.
The White House, a symbol of American democracy, is under tight security with just hours to go until voters choose their next president. Barricades are up all around the perimeter to ward off any possible violence around these tightly contested elections. Earlier, elsewhere in the city, businesses also boarding up their windows. Democratic candidate Kamala Harris will be spending election night here in the nation's capital. In the final hours of her campaign, she was in the crucial battleground state of Pennsylvania in a last push to win over undecided voters. It's been a whirlwind run for Harris, launching it in record time after U.S. President Joe Biden unexpectedly dropped out of the race in July. Now, she's been clear on her pledges. She says she will cut down on the cost of living and protect fundamental rights like reproductive freedoms and be the steady hand at the wheel steering the U.S. through this critical time. Earlier, I spoke to Zach Cooper, a national security expert who has worked at the Pentagon and the White House. He says the U.S. is facing unprecedented challenges.
When Biden took office, there was no war in Ukraine. There was no war going on in Gaza. And, although Taiwan tensions were high, they're probably higher now than they were then. This is just a much more severe threat environment than it was 4 years ago.
And does Harris have enough foreign policy experience to handle the presidency?
We just don't know exactly, what she might do because she hasn't had this chance before. But I do think it's important to remember that she's had time both in the Senate and now as vice president to get pretty familiar with a lot of foreign policy issues.
Harris has warned that her Republican rival, Donald Trump, is, quote, unstable and a wannabe dictator, calling him a threat to democracy. Now, as one of the tightest races in U.S. history draws to a close, Harris is calling on voters to put country over party when choosing who to send to the White House. Luffy Lee, Andrew Ryan, and Joyce Tseng in Washington, D.C. for TaiwanPlus.
It's been a turbulent election campaign for Donald Trump. He's been the target of 2 assassination attempts and accusations that a win for him would threaten America's democracy. Louise Watt reports from the venue where he will be on election night.
On election night, Trump supporters are expected to be lining this road because the man himself will be inside here, the Palm Beach Convention Center in Florida. Why here? Because it's just a couple of miles up the road from his Mar-a-Lago beachside resort. In the 2 days before Election Day, Trump has been busy elsewhere, ramping up his rallies.
Hello, beautiful, beautiful North Carolina.
He and his vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, have been holding more than a dozen rallies in crucial swing states. Trump's messaging is simple. He says he'll be stronger on the economy, border control, and global leadership. He says he won't start any wars. In the crucial swing state of Pennsylvania, his supporters say they trust him on these issues.
And I'm supporting him because I know that trickle-down economics works, because when he was in before, we had gotten 2 raises out of the clear blue sky and a bonus.
We have a lot of politicians that, he doesn't have a filter, and I like that. Whether you like the guy, you have to respect the fact that he says what he feels, and he said if he says he's going to do it, it gets done. May not be pretty, but it gets done absolutely.
Trump's opponent, Kamala Harris, argues he's a danger to democracy, given that he's threatened to go after his political enemies. Donald Trump has already won twice here in Florida, but on election night, all eyes are going to be on those crucial swing states. The result could be so close, it may take days to know who's won the presidency. Justin Wu, Ed Moon and Louise Watt in West Palm Beach, Florida for TaiwanPlus.
With polls still neck and neck, the race for the White House is too close to call. Taiwan's defense minister has addressed an incident where a new recruit fired a weapon outside of a shooting range. The recruit was a conscript doing their military service in northern Taiwan. They reportedly took a blank training round away from the shooting range instead of returning it as required. They later fired the round in a bathroom.
我们现在基于实战化的要求我们都会配合步枪，所以这个枪并不是他去偷来的，我想这个要说明一下。弹的部分呢，它是大概捡到一个训练用的一个空包弹。 大概在厕所的时间呢，就这样就往左下方这样子来做一个射击的一个动作。
Koo said the Defense Ministry will look at how to improve firearm safety, military discipline and risk management. Taiwan's Air Force has begun annual live fire exercises after delays caused by Typhoon Kongray. The Tianlong or Sky Dragon exercises are Taiwan's largest aerial combat drills, with dozens of fighter jets taking part. The Air Force says the 5-day drill will test how quickly pilots can scramble their aircraft and if they can accurately hit targets with missiles. The world governing body for practical shooting will stop using Taiwan's flag at its events. The ban follows an incident at an event in Indonesia in August where a Chinese national tried to forcefully remove a Taiwanese flag. The International Olympic Committee told the governing body that Taiwan will need to compete as Chinese Taipei. That's the name Taiwan uses to take part in most international sporting events due to pressure from China. Taiwan's Justice Ministry has rescinded a proposal to drastically increase fines for women who have illegal abortions, after lawmakers and women's rights groups protested the changes. The incident has raised questions about Taiwan's laws around abortion. To learn more, TaiwanPlus reporter Cadence Coranta spoke with Lin Shifang at the Awakening Foundation, an NGO focusing on gender equality.
So when is it legal for a woman to get an abortion in Taiwan?
在台湾来讲的话，就是目前规定是这样，就是如果在24周以前的话，女性她本身就是在一些有特别就是说遗传性疾病啦，然后或是说有医学上的原因会有畸形胎儿，或是分娩有危险，然后或是说因为她是被强暴，然后或是说等等的就是状态怀孕的话，她都可以自愿的来施行人工流产。然后或是说因为这个怀孕或生产会严重影响到她的身体或心理的健康的话，都可以在这个符合法律的相关规定下进行合法的人工流产。那只是说这个条件有2个例外，就第一个是说未成年人的话需要获得他们的法定代理人的同意，那如果已经是结婚的女性的话，需要获得他们配偶的同意。
Why is it that a woman needs consent from their husband in order to get an abortion?
我们觉得这其实是一个相当歧视性的规定，因为其实它的规定的想法就是说， 他认为说，婚姻中你一旦结婚，你的身体就不是自己的，你的身体其实最重要的是家庭圆满，然后你的身体是属于你的配偶的，所以你配偶应该有机会，或是应该要可以有这个权利，对你要不要生育这件事情，表示意见。但我们在性别团体的立场来讲，我们会觉得说，这个其实是完全不尊重女性的身体自主权的一个相关的旧时代的想法跟规定。
Taiwan's Justice Ministry has just rescinded a proposal to increase fines for illegal abortions. I wonder if you can tell us how widespread illegal abortions are in Taiwan.
在我们司法院来看，就是从2014年到今年为止，目前在地方法院一审有被判刑的状况上面来讲，堕胎罪其实近10年来就只有10位。那我们可以发现说，这个堕胎罪这种罪行在台湾的适用其实是非常少的。
That was Lin Shifeng with the Awakening Foundation talking about abortion rights in Taiwan. A pedestrian bridge slated for demolition has sparked protests among residents here in Taipei. Officials cite safety concerns about the 42-year-old bridge, but protesters say not only is the bridge safe, it has cultural and historic value too. John Van Trieste reports.
Amid a gray drizzle, residents of this Taipei neighborhood have taken up spots on a piece of local history they're afraid they'll soon lose. The Heping-Xinsheng pedestrian bridge in downtown doesn't appear in most guides to the city, but across Taiwan, even those who don't know its name recognize it. It's appeared in several classic Taiwanese films and been a centerpiece in music videos by big-name bands such as Mayday. A protest movement backed by a 1,500 signature petition stopped a plan to demolish the bridge on Monday. But some locals worried about how long they can delay the project have been up here since early Tuesday to make sure it's protected. Popular culture is only one layer to the structure's significance, as the array of protest banners, graffiti, and other signs of love from local residents shows. One activist who's camped out here says the bridge is a survivor, one of the few pedestrian bridges that wants to find Taipei's urban landscape. And he says it has historic importance too.
曾经是台北第一任民选市长里面的基站热区，所以它见证了民主那个时候直选的那个过程。然后那个时候我记得整个桥上站了快要1000个人都有，因为那个时候包括后来当选那个总统的陈水扁，他选市长的时候，他以前有个扁帽工厂在那里，然后另外一个候选人赵少康在这里。
The city government says the plan to demolish the bridge is guided by safety concerns. It says the bridge is 42 years old and ready for retirement, and that similar intersections with bridges had far fewer accidents after they were torn down.
在拆除上我想是有助于行车安全，那我们的配套还是有的，包括前穿线的退缩，包括庇护岛，包括栏杆，还有整个号志实质的配置。
But Ms. Le, who's lived here since before the bridge was built, says demolishing it won't make the intersection safer. She thinks the government should just repair the bridge to extend its life.
因为我们知道这边有一些角落，其实就是同一个家庭，他有这个母女有3人，妈妈带着姐姐过马路，就是被一个砂石车这样子，好像就是撞了，然后就走了。那妹妹呢，因为行动慢，她就走天桥，然后她就活下来了。所以这个故事我不希望能够再重演。
At least one other bridge slated for destruction is already being taken down. But thanks to grassroots activism, Mayor Jiang Wan'an has hit the pause button for talks with locals who feel they weren't consulted. From the outpouring of love on display here, it's clear this bridge has cemented its place in the urban fabric and in people's hearts and memories. But given the government says its safety concerns are unresolved, it's hard to say whether all this love will be enough to save this bridge from demolition. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, we take you to Morocco for the 7th Marrakesh Air Show with its aerial demonstrations and aircraft displays. I'm Reece. Take care and see you next time.